So here's a project here. It's got the newer flooring, and I'm going somewhere with this, but I really need you to tune into this because I want you to settle this in your thought after I make the point. But just kind of pointing out some of the things. You got your granite countertop, your backsplash, you got your stainless steel appliances, you got your touchless there, you got your microwave minis. It's pretty cool. You got your fans and recessed lighting. You've got your newest floor out. You've got recessed lighting, and I'm going somewhere with this. You got the touchless doors. And where I'm going with this is I can remember when we were flipping houses and we were selling them, the majority buyer were investors that were out of state, maybe some in Israel, maybe some in other states like Miami and California that were purchasing a lot of those properties. And we were selling them these properties, but we weren't able to put a lot of newer finishes in them. They all had new things in them, but they didn't have the better finishes. Everything was just new, and you couldn't afford to put newer finishes in there because the purpose of business is, yes, to turn a product, but the full purpose of business is to turn a profit, to buy something lower and sell it a little higher. That's what you're in business to do. And so the end buyer at those times, the retail buyer, wasn't able to afford something like this. If we put that much in there, there's no way we'd make a profit. If you're putting, newer fans in and you're putting, the newest handles and finishes into a project, you'd never turn that profit. And as a matter of fact, if you were an end buyer or an end retail buyer, you would likely have to do two loans. You'd have to do a loan for the purchase of that home that you were going to live in, and then you may do something like an investment loan or a home improvement loan to be able to do the upgrades and finishes that you were looking for, and hope for two approvals. Now we're at a place to where the market is decent. You've got areas that have sold properties for a reasonable amount, which gave the comps in the area a little more room to where builders can now put some of or more of the finishes inside of those projects for you. So you may want to consider that when you are going to do your purchase now and you're determining, am I overpaying for this? Is this way inflated? You may want to just consider that thought. And real estate, I will say, is a lot like musical chairs in that the music is playing. And when that music is playing, baby, it is important that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, what the game is called for. And the game in real estate or in anything is to buy low and sell high. And if you think of real estate, think of it like a clock is the best way that I've heard it. Well, 12 o'clock being the height of inflation, the height of your property values, the most you can potentially get out of that project is 12 o'clock, and 6 o'clock being the worst of the worst. There's a crash coming, the lowest values possible. And musical chairs in that analogy is at 12 o'clock, you want to be selling everything. You want to be, those things that you bought at 6 o'clock, you want to be selling them at 12 o'clock in real estate. While the music is playing, baby, you want to be selling to get the cash back or refinancing to take some of the equity out of the property so that you can prepare for the next 6 o'clock to buy more real estate or buy more of whatever you have for a lesser amount. And then in that 12 o'clock hour, you can sell for much more. Because once that music stops, everything gets a little bit more tricky. It's great for the people that have refinanced their properties, who've sold and who have a lot of cash. But for those who have not done that yet, you don't want the music to stop just yet. Because what will happen is lending will tighten up to where lenders will begin to tighten up their standards, and people that may get in now for some less than perfect credit may have to tighten up those things or be, a little more like walking on water to be approved. Now that may have been oversimplification, but things tighten up. You're going to need more down payment money potentially. I know for us, we will generally do 80% LTVs. There was a time when we were doing 80% LTV on a cash out. We were giving you a cash out refinance up to 80%. The market has tightened up and we've gone down to 75%. And in some cases, we'll only do 70%. I remember when we were doing this back in the day, most lenders would not go over 65% LTV. So in this market, you can still take up to 75% cash out of your refinance to be able to purchase more real estate. And if you are interested in the real estate market. And it is still easier for a newer investor to get into real estate and begin to invest as well. Imagine when things get tougher, we would have expected that while the music was good, you were purchasing those properties and getting on some HUDs to where you're showing your experience is tight. To where when the market is a down market, we're saying, I can't take a chance on a new investor and getting, and them getting caught up right now. You need to have some seasoning or some, ability to have gotten out of a few other projects that we can verify. And that number, depending on how tight the market is, can go from 3 properties to 5 properties. We've even got a product now that is a premier product for a well-seasoned investor for 25 properties and up, to where you're going to get the best pricing because of your seasoning. And so you just want to consider those things when you're determining, should I wait for this down market? It's going to be a down market. I can't wait until I get the music is still playing, baby. The music is still playing. And so you want to be sure that you're doing all that you can do now while the music is playing. So why did I do this post? What happened? Like, where did this even come from? I'm about to give you the juice. If you sat around and, you watched until the end, I appreciate that. And I'm going to tell you exactly what my thoughts were. Have you ever heard of ChatGPT or OpenAI? When you take a look at it, it's a writing software that kind of writes as a human, but it's an AI bot that's responding to you in a way that a human would respond to you. It is so fantastic. After working through it, I'm like, if I don't need that anymore, and I maybe don't need. And so in thinking about that, I thought about how many jobs could potentially be lost to AI as it's coming. Some of those mundane jobs that are, kind of going to, folks that would say, you know what, I just want to go to work and, do my 1-2 and then come home. I don't want to do all of the hassle. I just want to be that employee, I just want to, that is fine, but some of those jobs are going to begin to be limited. Think about your local Walmart or your local big box store. And you look over, you'll see 15 machines and one person managing those machines. Those are what you may begin to see the more AI takes off. What's my point? I think folks are going to need to supplement their income somehow, right? And so while lending is still at a capacity to where folks are able to participate, we want to make sure that we're sharing the proper information so that everyone's able to participate and be able to supplement your income as well. If you want to participate in the real estate space. And we are still welcoming new investors. If you've got multiple properties already, we're certainly able to accommodate you. As with private funds, there is no per principal maximum, which means you can build a portfolio of 10, you can build a portfolio of 100 properties. It really doesn't matter to us in that capacity. But I hope this was helpful to you. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If you've got any additional questions, feel free to email info@simcap.com. Be blessed.